which I know a lot of people are very excited about. Gods, I don't know really where to start. Do you want to start with the patch that dropped last night, or do you want to start with Secret and Cloud9, and what are your thoughts?
Let's talk a little about Secret Cloud 9 first, maybe.
Okay.
I'm curious to see how Secret adjusts to the Cloud9 playstyle, whether they have a good answer to that 5-man constant death ball that Cloud9 like to do. As for Secret, I feel like they do come in as favorites, though.
It does seem like Secret's a bit of a slower team. Aside from the laning phase, where Puppey is able to oftentimes make a lot happen with his rotations, I feel like Secret's a little bit slower team, and I'm not sure if that's going to match up well against Cloud9. At least the roaming of Puppey is going to be shut down pretty quickly, I think, just due to Cloud9's willingness to go 5-man by. I mean, every single game, I'm surprised by like 8 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
They're already trying to push down towers as a group. That being said, a lot of that was based around their draft, and we are going to see a part of that draft be taken away. Cloud9 are actually going to ban away the Lone Druid themselves.
Yep. It's something that Liquid took advantage of. That the fact that Secret, if Puppey doesn't have like successful rotations early on and those lanes fall apart, they can be put under a lot of pressure. There was that 17-minute high ground push coming out from Liquid, largely due to their own strategy rather than necessarily taking advantage of too much Secret was doing. But that's a very similar playstyle to what Cloud9 do every game, not just like a one-off unique strategy. So Secret are going to have to learn a lot from that game one there, and we'll see what the draft's going to be. Now, Cap, new patch. Do we think we're going to see different picks and bans, or is it going to be a bit of the same for now?
I mean, surely we are. It's not like it was a insignificant patch, right? It was
Yeah.
decently big. I mean, we had a lot of talent tree changes. We also had Lycan being added to CM, and I think that is particularly important. Lycan was, I don't know about your pubs, Gods. What the hell do you do in your pubs, by the way,
No.
Gods? Mid-Chen, Dagon?
Oh, no one.
What are you
That
doing to those
25% spell
Aussies?
amp is the best shit ever. Like, no one expects it. A support 10 minutes in the game gets one shot. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful, Cap.
you,
But
you know,
there is no Lycan in Oz pubs. Like no one knows what this hero does. It's funny because the hero is like one of the highest win rate. Well, it got somewhat nerfed. I think was it in 7.01. Based on
yeah.
like some ridiculous win rate it had when the patch first hit. But no one plays in any of my pub games. It's just like it seems like you need to have like a Lycan specialist type player to use the hero.
Yeah, I've seen it a number of times in NA, and I do always feel very good whenever I see a Lycan on my team, and I'm always very worried when it's on the enemy team because it is incredibly strong. I think it would fit into Cloud9's roster very well. Maybe we'll have to wait until they get first pick because they seem to be a little bit leery about giving away two of these very close to OP pushers, Lone Druid as well as the Lycan. Notice that Lone Druid is still being banned away despite the talent change. Let's be honest, he didn't receive a massive nerf. It was just really a bit of a tweak more than anything.
Yeah, it was the Ice Frog. Let's touch him down a little bit and wait till the players figure out a way to beat him and nerf him. Because I feel like that happens a lot where these heroes that are super meta, really strong, Ice Frog doesn't want to over nerf them. Every now and then, like he'll just completely shit on a hero. But it feels like he prefers to take the approach where he just tweaks some small things and then over time the metagame just adjusts by itself. Players will figure out how to deal with lone druids and the hero will slowly become less and less popular.
Now, our bans may change, Guns, but our picks, or at least our first pick anyway, is not going to change. Team Secret opening with the first pick, Slardar.
Yeah, this hero received the teeniest of nerfs. That stun duration, 1.6 to 1.5 at level 1. And then at level 4, it's like 2.5 to 2.25. So it's really a very small nerf to Slaughter. This hero is still going to do everything it used to do.
All right, so what is that? I have the change log because I was reading it last night before I went to bed, and then I realized like I'm just not gonna absorb enough of this. But I know Rubik did not get a nerf. In fact, he got 10 damage buff at level 10. I thought maybe that would be the response here. Instead, they're gonna go with Earth Spirit to start, and I presume they're gonna want to leave their other support still out there. So or just prove me wrong
Grab
twice in a
Rubik,
row.
you know?
All right.
Yeah, I was thinking they might grab the Crystal Maiden because that's something that Cloud9 just really prioritized and received a few small buffs through her talents. That plus 50 damage went up to plus 60 damage now for Crystal Maiden at level 10. But Rubik is a similar thing where Slatter initiates, you've got that instant lockdown for him, be it not the Frostbite in this case, it's the Telekinesis where you can try and punish Slatter's early game aggression and even that mid game aggression around his Blink Dagger.
All right, gods. Here's I actually wanted to tackle this one. Ember Spirit.
Oh yeah.
Strong still, or did did that change the root, the Fire Remnant root interaction? Did that just nerf him down to the ground?
I mean, against certain heroes, it's a huge nerf, but then if there's no root heroes in the game, he's theoretically untouched outside of that talent nerf, which is still potent. Like 12% from 15% doesn't ruin that Ember build at all. So perhaps you pick it later in the draft. Does mean you can itemize into that Rod of Atos if you want to use that to initiate, but I think Ember is definitely still playable. But against like a Meepo or something, for example, I think the hero gets shit on. Like I don't think you can play Ember versus Meepo now.
Right. So maybe a 4 or 5 pickup. We're gonna go ahead and nice open hero with Secret and the Wisp. Plenty of ways that this can still go around.
Was Doxy the most nerfed hero of the patch? I feel like that. I'm curious who was the most nerfed hero of the patch.
Yeah,
it might be Doxy.
For some reason, poor old Darkseer just got destroyed. Yeah, I think so. I think I remember scrolling through and being like, damn, like Darkseer just like that mana cost is so big because it's an extra 16 mana in the beginning of the game. You know, when you start off, you double Ion Shell. It's 30 mana extra for 1 Ion Shell, but you're always going to double it when you go to that creep wave. And that means you can be all the more punished if you actually get successfully zoned out in that first wave and don't get your level 2. Maybe you have to jungle and do those sort of things. Like everything is going to be, I guess, have a lot more variance to Darkseer. You could still be very successful, I think, if you get that first wave, you get your level 2, and you well on your way to Soul Ring. But I think there's a lot more opportunity to punish Darkseer with some of these nerfs.
Well, it's his early game. Most of the other heroes like have their talents and stuff nerfed a bit, like looking at Lone Druid, but him, it's like he's nerfed from level 1. Like the ability to run a Darkseer lineup gets crippled from level 1 going on. I think the other hero I was looking through the list that got nerfed probably a bit harder, but isn't in competitive is of course the Monkey King. But as far as applications in competitive play, it does feel like Darkseer, he got the short end of the stick, and we'll see how he does. But I feel like Darkseer is one of those heroes that may actually drop off a bit because of that nerf.
Yeah, I think the other two being maybe Lone Druid, again, more of a tweak than anything. And then I know Luna received a bit of a nerf. I think
Underlord's level 1.
Oh yeah. Level 1 to level 2 atrophy aura is a 400% increase. That's the way I looked at it. I was like, Jesus Christ. So Underlord's going to have a lot harder
level 3
time.
aura now. I think you could aura at level 1 and 3. Oh, level 2 and 3 perhaps, and like fire at level 1. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think that actually may be what you have to do.
That is some clowny stuff, that level 1 to trophy aura.
All right, so Enigma going to be banned away by Cloud9, it seems. Not trying to pick it up for themselves. Lifestealer, the Lifestealer bomb. We are going to still have Darkseer taken out of the pool despite the nerf that he received, and the 3-4, as well as the Weaver. The Weaver and Slardar. In fact, I'm a little bit surprised we didn't see Weaver in that first 1-2, as both these teams have been picking up quite a bit. Didn't receive too bad of a nerf. A bit of a base damage and swarm damage reduction, but not major.
I mean, for now, it seems both teams just want to pick up only supports and wait out their opponents to see what they're going to do. Cloud9 will have to tip their hand a little bit first with this core pick. So we'll see what that's going to be. And Secret, of course, can run the Slider in an offlane role, but it does give them that flexibility. And they will go for the slightly nerfed Luna as their carry of choice.
What about Puppy's Chen? That received a buff. I don't think they're necessarily going to be running it with Wisp, but that was one of the heroes that, if I recall correctly, did have a bit of a buff. Whether or not level 15 is kind of like past the point of whether or not you pick Chen, right? I mean, if you're picking Chen, you're not thinking about level 15. You're thinking about level 8, level 10, what I'm going to do in the early game.
No, I think maybe less so this game because the Chen Io seems like a bit of a weak duo. You haven't got great initiation, then your Slider's in the offlane, so he's not roaming around. Then you're pretty much like Chen has to be ganking by himself until Slider gets his Blink Dagger. So I think the hero definitely suits Secret in that style, but I think this draft would be hard to fit in. And they also want to leave that Slider open to run perhaps as a support or core. But they get Invoker, so get mid one onto one of his better heroes, and this will be their first kind of real showing as far as their draft now, giving Cloud9 the option to make sure they get a somewhat favorable matchup for Baby Knight.
Yeah, if we go back a little bit to when Luna was picked up a lot more prominently, it seemed like one of the most important things you could do is get yourself a heavy amount of burst damage to be able to blow up the Luna when you did make that initiation and make sure she doesn't start getting eclipse damage out, or it was to make sure that you had a long-range physical damage dealer, such as the lone druids, the snipers that started picking up, for you to be able to focus down the Luna whenever she did try and start moving forward. Because that was the one downside, right? Is Luna amazing at being able to push these towers and everything, but you do have low range, even with that Dragon Lance, and are susceptible to that constant harassment of damage. So I like the fact that Team Secret have picked up a big damage dealer, now also going to be able to pick up a long-range physical damage dealer as well. But picking it into the PA gods, it seems a little bit rough.
Yeah, it's kind of saying they're not afraid of it. The PA pick in itself was interesting because it immediately tips towards the mid PA with the Luna being in there. So they want the PA versus Invoker matchup, but I feel like this is actually, the Drow pick works fine against the PA here because they have, I mean, you can gust it back. You've got the Sunstrike. Invoker has enough burst damage that PA can't really play too aggressively until we see a BKB up. So in my mind, I look at this game and I'm like, yeah, PA can do well in the lane against Invoker and as a kind of matchup counter the Drow Ranger, but the timings of the PA come a bit later on than what Cloud9 perhaps are normally used to. Normally they like to play those really aggressive early to mid game pushes, and that's where PA isn't going to have the Deso with a B then, major one of the two.
So we're presuming Team Secret going to take early control here with the Drow Ranger, maybe make more of like a 4-man push lineup, giving the Invoker space and making sure that C9 do not have the opportunity to take that map control that they've been so notorious for.
Yeah, for C9, a lot of their goals will probably rely around this Earth Spirit. If you want to be effective in that PA Invoker matchup, I think Earth Spirit's going to have to be very active, both in that lane and perhaps even elsewhere on the map as well. So we'll see what Secret get as their last pick, whether it will be the offlane Slider or they get the Tusk. Did this year get changed? I did not read that far along.
35% experience. 35% experience gain at level 10.
35%?
Yeah, what? Dude, it's something crazy. I was kind of like I looked at that and I was like, I think Tusk is back. And then I think Zai said something about it on Twitter as well. He's like, Tusk pickers, come on out. I think this hero is actually back into the meta, though I'm not entirely set on whether or not he belongs in the support or offlane role. I feel like the level 10 and how such a big boost does mean that it's a little bit better for him to be offlane, but I think we're still in the meta where the offlaners need to either be a mech sustain hero or a hard initiator, and Tusk doesn't give you the same kind of hard initiation as used to. Broodmother, oh god.
This was one of their old school picks. The old Imperial team used to bust out the Brood and do some really cheesy strats with it. They would run it in the mid lane primarily for Baby Knight. This game, I don't know if that's going to be the case. If they want to do that, it have to be some really awkward lane. Like maybe they go aggro lane with the Luna and do like a safe lane PA. Even that in itself sounds weird because Brood, they used to pick Brood against heroes like Invoker. Back when everyone's running like the Invoker mids every single game, the old patch Invoker was probably like the top mid hero. They would Brood it. But the fact they picked the PA makes me wonder like who is going where. Baby Knight can play this hero. I've seen Ace play the Brood in the safe lane, and I've even seen Hestejo play it. All 3 Cloud9 players can play Brood.
Yeah, disgusting Brood pickers. The lot of them. Broodmother did get some decent buffs here. 25% experience gain as opposed to 15%, and it was at level 10. And then the other level 10 talent is actually plus 60 spawn Spiderling damage, which is also a significant. Nice. Yeah, it's a significant buff to that nuke. You have some 15 and 20 talent changes as well, but I think we're in the same kind of conversation as we were with the Chen. When you're talking about this here, you're more talking about matchups as well as early game and how you can be able to snowball. Nobody likes to see a Broodmother shut down in the beginning, so it's all about that early mid game. All right.
It's looking like it's going to be the mid Brood. And you look at it, it's like, which heroes can deal with Brood? None of them. So, I mean, best case scenario for Secret, I feel like, is the Brood going to the offlane and they just do their best with sentries. and have like Puppy just camping around with sentries trying to punish the Brood level 1, but a mid Brood you can't shut down. Mid Brood is going to have his way over that lane regardless.
Puppy is going to be on the Tusk, so we're going to see a nice little roaming Tusk with the Slardar. This actually promotes a lot of duo aggression. One of the unique things about Tusk is that any of the gap closers, Clockwork, Slardar, any of those, Centaur is another good example, any of those heroes get a huge buff just being around the Tuskar, because you have that snowball to be able to close the gap. You also have ice shards to make sure the enemy hero is isolated and separated and can't move back farther, so you're guaranteed to land that stun. It just allows this duo, they're particularly potent at being able to get some of those squishier damage dealers in the back lines, and at least that's what we're hoping for Secret when it comes to dealing with the Luna, being able to get on top of her, deal quick damage, and make sure that Eclipse does not go off.
Even that level 15 Tusk out plus 150 snowball damage sounds.
Oh,
like
yeah.
That sounds like a lot of damage. I guess if you're getting lots of teammates in there, it's already the damage is starting to rack up, but goes from 200 to 350 base damage. That's almost doubling the base snowball damage, and then you get the bonus damage per ally as well. So a lot of kill potential there if you can get on top of the Luna. But the snowball is one of those really hard spells to use, because using it aggressively, like against stuff like Force Staffs, can always like sometimes bait your team into really bad situations. So it seemed like the transition for Tusk back when this hero was in the meta was to start using it more as a defensive save. But we'll see what Puppy can get done with this hero. I'm glad to see it coming back into competitive play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the most fun heroes out there. It has that nice combination of aggression and defensive plays that you can make. Doesn't look like MP caught sight of Noya placing his ward, so we are going to have both the Observer ward and Counter ward laid out. Counter ward does block the camp. Meanwhile, the rest of Secret going to be running pretty deep into Radiant Jungle. Tusk is kind of like a Shadow Demon, promotes level 1 aggression for sure. You want to be able to get that first snowball play in.
Oh yeah, I remember back in the old Jarek's Liquid days. Every game it was 5-man roam around the map with the Tusk snowball looking for kills, and similar idea from Secret. Just with the 3 heroes down bottom, mid one was in the area, but he's going to fall back now. We'll be looking at a Quaswex Invoker. I think this is the only way you can play against the Brood mid and this early to mid game aggression. I think Exo Invoker would just crumble to it unless you're getting like constant dual support helper mid lane. There's no way you could pull off an Exo Invoker against a Brood and a roaming Earth Spirit.
How do you think the Wegsort Invoker would have done? You know, just Alacrity it up, try and just get those last hits?
Alacrity seems all right, but I don't think the Chaos Meteor you get much value out of, because it's so easy to micro those spiderlings out of it through the web movement speed. But I like the idea of having Alacrity, but I think he'd need like a Tusk to be constantly sitting at mid lane to protect him and offer like some initiation and chip harass. Like just throw an Ice Shard into like a couple of right clicks to keep Baby Knight down, but would have been tricky, I think, to pull off.
So Puppy started off in the bottom lane, is going to start making his way towards top. Pylai Dai is going to be top lane with MP against the PA Earth Spirit lane. So we do see rather interesting lanes on both sides. Kezu's still going to have a hard time with the Luna Rubik for sure, unless Tusk is around. Looks like Puppy wants to be able to push back the top lane first, though.
Yeah, they're brawling at top already. Early roll in from the Earth Spirit onto MP, but the good thing is Pylai comes in, he takes damage as well, and that means this regen is going to be shared between the 2 players up here. So Pylai making sure he takes some damage so that he can get that heal off.
Another roll in,
goes onto the Drow. You really want to go on the IO here.
Yeah, they're going to try and go on a Hesta Joe, and that's going to be pretty easy first blood. Unfortunately, the ward placed out by Cloud9. I'm not sure. They just seem to disregard the fact that Tusk was making his way over.
It looked like the roll was lined up for Pylai Dai, but MP actually blocked it. Whether intentionally or not, I can't really say, but I'm pretty sure who's trying to line up the IO there, since that's the hero you want to go on. It's a 0 armor IO. You need to be targeting him, not the Drow Ranger, when Pylai Dai, of course, can just tether up the Drow, share that healing regen, and make it impossible to kill. Problem is now, Py's got a bottle, so this lane going to get more and more difficult for Cloud9.
Mid one, the beginning of a pretty decent CS differential, and I think that's just going to grow and grow against the Brood Mother. Noya's going to run away from Puppy. But you can see Baby Knight is already beginning to control the game, the lane quite nicely. He has a lot of creep still to get, and he's already ahead in CS. So
yeah, when in the past when he did this mid brood, he's going to likely go for that fast bottle, spread his webs across the rune so he can take advantage of getting things like haste, DD runes, and just roam around, constantly have that HP and mana regen through the bottle and the constant rune refill.
now, a lot of this was in part taking over the jungle, right? With the top MP no longer having his supports, they ran into the mid lane. Pylai gets here just in time. A little bit of wand charges. Pylai going for the tether block as well. They turn onto Pi, try and finish him off underneath the tower. They will be able to do so. They get a kill, but not the one they're really hoping for. Jaro Ranger does stay alive.
I think the second Pi comes in, you have to swap target there. They were perhaps a little bit slow, but at the same time, they knew MP had a salve, and they were probably thinking, ooh, we want to make sure he doesn't get this salve off. But in the end, they have to give up chase, take the kill they get. They are a bit low up here, and Hestejo does not have blink mana.
Nice double kick, but the Ice Shards is going to be able to block Hestejo's retreat, but MP didn't pursue that one out.
And they've got a shrine. This is one of the great things about doing these aggro lanes is your shrine is very close to your lane, so you can just trade hits, use your spells, and then go right back to lane, fully healed up.
Hey, Gods, do you have open mic by chance?
Oh, I don't. Oh, well, I forgot.
I forgot to message you as well. I thought about it too, and then I went to go make tea.
I think I thought about it too. I was like, oh, I should message Cap, and then I did not do it at all. So
Level 4 Slardar. So he's actually doing pretty well against this Rubik Luna. I thought that Rubik Luna is actually kind of scary as a dual lane. Rubik's damage is not great, but when it's around Luna, it's a little bit better. And honestly, it's just the fact that Luna has this constant Lucent Beam that he can lay into Slardar. Anytime he's forced to sprint, he just takes that much extra damage. Yeah,
this is definitely a bit more than I'd expect a Slardar to get against this type of a dual lane, but that's where the attention has been elsewhere for Cloud9. Just a Rubik threat. As long as the Earth Spirit's on the map, he probably feels more confident that he can push up often. If Earth Spirit's missing, you're perhaps playing more defensively, even when he may be in the top lane. So Earth Spirit spent a lot of this game showing on the map. Invoker's done all right. Like this mid lane, 16 CS to the 23. Just having that Tornado protect you. You know Baby Knight can't really dive you, but with the Earth Spirit, maybe he can.
Oh, but there is going to be Puppey here. He can actually get a good Ice Shard, so get a snowball onto Baby Knight. Can you block him in? Still underneath the tower. Baby Knight turns around, gets another shot against mid one, but is now out of range. They just had the counter wards to be able to work with. No dust.
Yeah, he snowballed through a lot of those Spiderlings too. Baby Knight had like a decent sized Spiderling army, and it looked like through the Tornado and that snowball, they managed to clear most of them out. So once those disables were used, Baby Knight didn't really have the DPS to get the kill, and nice defensive play. All your job here as an Invoker is pretty much just to stay alive, get your levels, and hold on to your tower, which is, if you're running this Brood mid, you're expecting to either get kills or push the enemy mid laner out and take that T1 tower. If you don't achieve any of those three things, the mid Brood to me is not really achieving its goals.
Puppey's had a pretty good read of what to do so far. He may have started off in the off lane, but he countered their aggression at top. Now he just is in the right position as they tried to go on mid one. He does seem to have a knack for being able to read these rotations in the beginning of the game, but score is still pretty even. CS advantage to Cloud9. Big part because of Baby Knight in mid, but also the Luna topping out in CS due to MP. And the pressure that he's been feeling, he's never going to get perfect CS.
Yeah, I feel like Secret going to be pretty happy with this lane stage. No Cloud9 snowball off the kills. The Earth Spirit, the Brood haven't been able to dominate their lanes, perhaps as hard as they would have hoped to. And seeing mid one, seeing a bit more pressure come his way, but another Tornado. And now with that on cooldown, the roll misses from Noya, but they still maybe get this kill.
EMP onto Noya is going to be able to finish him off, but first they get the kill on Invoker. Puppey, little he could do about that one. He wasn't close enough, had to snowball in, which means couldn't really use a defensive snowball to save the Invoker.
Baby Knight now about to hit level 7, so he'll have some good damage output, but won't see any significant damage on that T1 mid tower following the kill, and Baby Knight's actually going to TP himself home to heal up, do a bit of shopping it looks like, and then return back to that lane.
Now, Gods, a large part of picking up Broodmother was being able to utilize the jungle. The mid lane probably being the lesser compared to off lane, but the jungle is still an integral part of the Broodmother. How much do you think that hurts the Brood pickup when you do have this 2-minute respawn as opposed to every single minute?
I think it's okay because there's more camps to make up for it, and I think this brood mid that we're seeing won't be as reliant on it perhaps as other styles of brood mothers. And once you take, if you able, I think it comes down to how fast you can push this mid tier 1 tower. Like if you can get this tower fast, you get much greater access to the enemy jungle, and then you have your jungle as well as the enemy jungle. You can farm ancients very easily through the insatiable hunger ultimate. So if anything, the new jungle in some ways to me seems maybe even slightly better for a brood. If you can use all the camps and just time your rotation, like your farming pattern, so that you farm up like the whole jungle camps and you're back in lane applying pressure. You just have to rotate between the two a bit more, perhaps.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that idea. The fact that mobility is something that Broodmother has in spades over everyone else. Oh, Eclipse going to be used here. Pilot Eye trying to get out of vision. Couldn't quite make it. Kezu's going to be spotted here on the side. It will be nuked down as well. Cloud9 pick up the double. Can mid-1 respond? He already has haste with the corrosive haze. They're going to be able to get him. Rise is also going to be dying underneath the tower. Looks like Noya did manage to roll out and TP away. So in the end, that actually works out really nicely for Secret. They may not have struck the first blow, but they got a much bigger kill in the Luna.
Yeah, the Luna gets the double kill, and it does give Baby Knight the space he needs to get the mid tower. It doesn't get denied by mid 1, so feels maybe like a close to even trade. Brood finally gets the mid 1 rotation, which he threatens to go for the kill, and mid 1's Tornado is still on cooldown for 2 more seconds.
Baby Knight still trying to use his Spiderlings to be able to chase down mid 1, but now he's been caught, turned around on, and the blast does come in. Pylai die. He's got almost picks up that level 6 off of that kill, which is big because they're feeling aggression on all sides, right? Luna just went for a bit of a dive at bottom. The Juro Rangers constantly under assault, so they really need this relocate sometime soon, and you're going to see MP going to be the victim of the aggression we're talking about. Puppey tries to come in. Snowball catches 2. Rise is going to be left on the other side as mid 1 and Pylai Dade run themselves all the way over here. Nice Tornado. Catching has to Joe. Noya, no rollout this time, I'm afraid. A double kill for Pylai Die, and now he is more than just level 6, almost level 7 now.
Yeah, this really has become a great game of aggression versus punish. It's like, you C9 are the aggressors, and it's what can Secret do to punish them. So far, they've just punished all 3 lanes. The dive on bottom, Luna gets a double kill. C9 going in first, get the kills, but then Invoker's there to turn it around, get 2 kills back, including the Luna kill. Baby Knight gets aggressive mid, taking the tier 1 tower. Got over-aggressive going for the kill on the Invoker, and he gets punished. And similarly, top lane, that's a big win for Secret. Getting those kills there to turn things around. Brood is one of those heroes where you generally get ahead very early. You win your lane, you get a lot of levels, but all it takes is 1 or 2 deaths, and all of that advantage can be quickly lost and thrown away.
You know, the funny part is they haven't actually had time to place any aggressive wards. You know, they've just been rotating. They went from bottom to mid to top, so there isn't a whole lot of aggressive wards to be able to make the read of some of these rotations from the supports. They've just seen the way that the laning phase has gone. They've seen the way that Hesta Joe and Noya were positioned up in that top lane, and somebody made the call. MP was sitting back in his jungle saying, guys, they're going to dive me. I know what's happening. Snowball plus a smoke rotation. Ace isn't going to be caught by the ice shards. Now has to throw out the Eclipse just to be able to keep the rest of Secret away, but Kezu bumps in, hits him with the stun, runs away, and they nicely combo that damage. Pylai may still die to the physical damage, but no, they couldn't actually get him. Nice ice shards, but Noya will manage to roll out ahead of time. Pylai does get nuked down, but Baby Knight doesn't have a whole lot of webs to work with. He's got one off cooldown. Nice kick. Triple kick. Oh, Noya. He may have just opened up a number of kills here. Puppey's low enough at the back lines. Baby Knight tries to pursue that one out. Does have the corrosive haze, but he's got the lifesteal going. Can he actually lifesteal enough to keep himself alive? Hit by the tornado. Not hit by the crush, though. The tornado is enough to finish him off. Burned out of mana, but a wand stick comes out from Rise, enough for him to be able to fade bolt down the Invoker. Heads to Joe. 1v1 against Kezu until a relocate comes in from Pylai Die, making it a 1v2. Ace now joins the fray up against 2. Can't really do enough damage to kill either one of these heroes, especially with the relocate back available, so he will be just forced away. Gods, did you keep track of how many kills that was? What's the end game?
4 for 3, favoring Secret. Only the Earth Spirit not dying there. That was some crazy boulder smashes from Noya, getting like 2-3 heroes on multiple occasions, as well as AoE silences off, but MP doesn't even come to that fight. He's just sitting top with all the space in the world, and the biggest player of that fight was Kezu. I want to say I counted 4 Slider Crushes throughout that fight. Like, he doesn't even have the mana pool for that, but thanks to the constant clashes going on, he just kept getting magic stick charges, and he was the hero of that fight. Just his constant sustain being ignored, and the end result was definitely a secret victory. Mid one dies, but he gets a lot of kills in the process, and Baby Knight's rotation gets like instantly shut down. Like he TP's in, that cold snap through his insatiable hunger stopped him getting any kills, and you're expecting that brood rotation to really lead to a successful turnaround, and it just didn't do that.
Yeah, you've watched plenty of Imperial games. In your mind, is Baby Knight doing enough as the mid brood mother? He's taken a tier 1 tower mid, but he's also died a couple times?
This feels very different to the games I've seen in the past already from the mid brood. Those have felt much more dominant in the laning stage. Like I feel like I've seen him maybe win and lose some games on that mid brood, but almost every single game he played it, he was winning the early game, dominating his lane. And if he did rotate, like, or found like a good rune to rotate with, he'd be successful with it. This is, to me, probably the least successful start I've seen to his brood mother. Like whether or not he can transition out of this into a better mid game, we'll have to wait and see. He needs to perhaps play a bit more around his team, which is what he was trying to do with that TP rotation down bottom. Problem was there was a cold snap urn charge on him, which completely crippled him.
Yeah, it does seem like the brood mother, you're supposed to have a pretty big spike right now. Another spike maybe when you finished up. You're going to get Orchid. It looks like Echo Saber actually is the build for the broods. Can't say I've seen broods Echo Sabers because we haven't seen a whole lot of 7.0 brood mother, but maybe this is going to be the build. But either way, you usually hit your next power spike, like the really big one, the biggest of big ones, with the BKB, and then you start like almost very rapidly dropping off. You're a decent hero to latch onto somebody and with that lifesteal and with that incapacitating bite, neutralize them in a fight. But for the most part, you're supposed to be your most dominant in the first 20 minutes and maybe 25.
I think he has to go straight into the BKB after this Echo Saber just because of the Quaswex Invoker.
Yeah.
Estro scouts this ward out, but a fast reaction from Kezu.
Oh.
It's a two-man crush, but fighting by that shrine, not of interest for Secret. But yeah, the Invoker has really been not like a counterpick to the Brood. If anything, the Brood beats the Invoker, but the way it's played out in the mid game with the Quaswex, the Tornado, the Cold Snap, the Urn Charge to go with that Cold Snap, it's been a Invoker-favored matchup this game.
Ace is not going to dare to try and get the last hit on that tower. Tried to do it with the Helmet Dominator creep, but honestly, it's because of the relocate. They're creating space for Cloud9 for each other. Yes, they did it in the laning phase somewhat successfully with Baby Knight able to take that tier 1, but they can't actually do much more because of the relocate and the way it's up now for Pielight Eyes. So I think they're going to have to do a little bit more grouping up. I'm not sure what they're waiting on for Ace, because honestly, he's got his level 2 Eclipse. He's got the basic stat items I think you would need on the Luna. I'm surprised they're just not running up at top lane.
Let's see what the PA doesn't have anything item-wise. Is getting closer to a Desolator. That's perhaps one of the main items. I mean, that really is that and the Echo Saber, which is now complete back in Baby Knight's stash. Those are the two items that they're lacking. Because yeah, Luna, as you said, is kind of where she wants to be. So I don't think C9 can just sit back and play a farming game. They're not going to scale very well against this Secret draft. Secret with the Slaughter amping up all their physical damage, the control of the Invoker. Their lineup's just going to be much scarier in the late game and even this mid game point. If Secret is smoked up getting the jump with the Blink Crush from Slaughter, they have a big edge in these team fights.
Secret, they know what's coming on. They know Cloud9 are going to go for that push, so they're already rotating down to bottom lane, see if they can make some trade-offs here, because trade-offs are, well, worth it for Secret.
Yep. Worth noting, those Helmet of the Dominator creeps now give 125 gold. Ace, I think, just lost his second one in a row, so those things do hurt and do add to pretty nicely to the economy of Team Secret. But for now, will be that tower trade for net. But Secret's setting up to defend this one. They have got to relocate in, and mid one is ready with no Tornado invoked just yet.
Here comes the Puppy TP. They have already got the stun on to Rise. That Blink Dagger is a huge part of this initiation. Hesta Joe is also going to be caught. Puppy managed to get him the blast. Now the relocate on the other side. Hesta Joe knows he caught, so he doesn't even try. But they do have Roshan going on at the exact same time. Tricky Cloud9. It wasn't just a simple tier 1 tower push. They actually created a bit of an illusion there. Managed to take the tier 1, yes, but got an Aegis now for Ace. That is a huge upgrade to their team fight potential. Now Luna doesn't have to worry as much about being bursted down.
Yeah, sneaky little play. PA also bought out, so got the Deso before she died, so didn't lose any money at least. MP is going to be Shadowblading through, gowning out some of these heroes. Noya Needs to be careful with his positioning.
Noya into the trees. Don't think he's going to be able to dodge enough, though. Secret quickly execute him, and the rest of Cloud9 are here. Ace especially is in a good position for an Eclipse, but a Force Staff over the cliff actually gets mid one away, so it's MP who's going to be left behind. Tornado dodge definitely by Baby Knight. Another turn, Secret trying to go up into the high ground to help out MP, but now they're just going to end up losing multiple heroes. Mid one and Puppy go down in the process. They should have just let that Drow Ranger die.
Yeah, fighting by shrines and the newly picked up Desolator giving some good chasing damage potential from Hestejo, and that's that first big rotation from Baby Knight that really where he's allowed to come out on top. And I think this sets C9 kind of back on track to hit their BKB timing, because they're likely going to go for at least double BKBs. I guess looks like for now Luna's not really considering one, but the Brood and the PA, the two initiating frontliners, those two heroes both need BKB desperately this game, and that's where C9 are going to really peak out as far as their draft goes. They need to make sure that when they get those BKBs, they win fights convincingly, they take all the outer towers, they get map control, because their lineup will then start to fall off. Like, they won't scale past those BKBs particularly well.
Yeah, I think if they went triple BKB at this timing, I think they just end up dropping off too hard. So Ace is probably thinking about the later game potential and how he's going to have to probably have a later game 10-second BKB, and for now, just try and scale and damage.
And even though Luna's not like a particularly long-range hero, like she will feel like she's got pretty good body blockers in front of her. PA blinking in, Brood is going to be generally the center of attention, so it's not all that easy to get on top of Ace this game. If you're snowballing in, you're fully committing and fighting into like the Brood and PA BKB. So you kind of want to kite around the BKBs, which is where Luna is likely going to get kind of somewhat ignored in these fights.
Now, simultaneously, we've been talking about the Cloud9 power spikes, and that's in large part because of the way the Broodmother works and how laning phase is supposed to go with this hero, but it is still secret with the Drow Ranger strategy. Drow Ranger strats are not the latest of game strategies, and they're also a little bit more focused on pushing towers. Should Secret be concerned? When should they be really trying to get a lot more control out of this map, or do you think that's just not a problem because of the Invoker?
I think this game, with the Invoker, they have really good late game scaling, and I don't think they're like they don't have a win condition that relies on them taking lots of early towers using the Drow Ranger. This to me feels like more like Drow just playing as a Luna-S type hero who's going to perhaps match up well against the Luna due to the superior range. Speaking of which, looking for Ace down bottom.
The silence does hit Ace. Noya tries to get the kick onto MP. Kezu, oh man, Secret. They just didn't pull the trigger fast enough. They are still going to be able to pick up Noya, but Ace is going to try and go in with the Eclipse. He gets stunned up, but Kezu may have committed too much. He ends up going down. The nukes come in. An EMP locked in. Ace is not going to be able to get away from that one. Is going to have to burn out his Aegis. Hestejo almost finishes off MP, but he managed to get away with the invis. Ace keeps on going. Will finally get down. Puppy looks like he's going to die to Hestejo, but it wasn't quite the team fight C9 really hoping for.
Do they know the IO's coming back? Yeah, they'll scout it. It's like they're pinging it. They'll see that and they'll get the +1, it looks like. Good team fight. It was the Aegis to make sure they win that fight, but they're doing this without having to use their BKB on Brood. They haven't got the BKB on PA, so being able to win fights like this just with an Aegis and no BKB is very important for them. It really feels like taking out Kezu early on in these fights is crucial for them. Take away that amp damage and take away that constant crush.
Hestejo pushes the Invoker back, so the rest of the team can fearlessly hit that Tier 2 tower. What C9 are a little bit lacking is initiation. They've had the Earth Spirit roll in for the early laning phase, but they could really use something a bit better for Hestejo to be able to combo up with, because he's not going to have a Basher anytime soon. He's working on the BKB, as we talked about, so... I would almost kind of like to see if they can get Noya the space or Rise, I guess, to get a Blink Dagger. And Rise is actually pretty close to it.
Yep. Yeah, I'd agree on that. That fight partly went as well as it did because Secret engaged onto them, and the Luna gets off an Eclipse. I feel like Luna getting that good an Eclipse shouldn't really happen considering their lack of initiation, but it was Secret who basically set Ace up to get such a good Eclipse in that fight by engaging into him without a creep wave, and his Eclipse just fully blew up Kezu. Like, that in itself wins C9 the fight.
As to Joe realizes Secret have been peeking on him. They had the successful scan. They know about this one. They're kind of baiting out Hesta Joe. They have the 2 supports. Hesta Joe is able to get out of the EMP with a nice Phantom Strike. Baby Knight now comes forward with the BKB just in front of the Tornado. Is going to be able to lock down the Invoker and catch Puppey as well. A kick comes out. 5 seconds until Pylai Dai can relocate. MP back out. It's going to be close. Now, MP, he goes down. No tether from Pylai Dai. Heads back to bottom lane.
That is the fight to follow up the previous one that will set Cloud9 up to take all these outer towers. They may not have the Aegis anymore, but they are in very good position now to push forward. The Manta on Luna gives them a lot of pushing power. They've got level 3 Eclipse, so fighting into this probably going to be not all too possible. And the Blink initiation on Rubik is now going to arrive as well. So coming anywhere close to C9 at this point is perhaps a death wish for a Secret, even with the shorter respawn times.
Yeah, 1 Blink telekinesis. You get a Phantom Strike off of that. Any hero could die from that combination if you just get a little lucky on the crits. Hesta Joe is going to head out to bottom lane. They know Secret aren't going to contest, right? So better to try and hunt into your own jungle, see if you can find somebody. Couldn't kill Pylai Dai, but you can also push out the lane. Part of the problem is I don't know if he's noticed the Silver Edge complete on MP, so he is still susceptible to this ganking power before he has BKB.
The Silver Edge is going to wear off, luckily, and it looks like he seems aware of potential presence down in this bottom lane. The Radiant Observer Orb was there, so that spotted Kezu moving down, and he won't be going down, at least not right now. So, yeah, gets himself out of there. Pi actually has a Vanguard working on a Crimson Guard, which helps keep him alive and will help his team out a lot against what is some pretty strong right-clickers in both Brood, PA, and even the Luna with the Bouncing Glaives later on. So I like the item pickup. Puppey's gone for a Midas, which is the best item to take advantage of this 35% XP gain.
Yeah.
I think Tuss used to quite often go Midas too, because it was like either that or like you rush a Blink Dagger or something. There weren't too many items you needed as a Tuss. The Blink Snowball save was definitely nice. But it looks like Puppey just wants that fast Midas XP growth.
Yeah, especially since we talked about how the 15 talent is a pretty good upgrade as well, the plus 150 snowball damage, so you actually have 2 pretty big nukes. I think that was the problem with Tusk as a support before, is that he had this really unique mechanisms to him, but what he lacked was damage. And when you have all this team fight potential going on right now, you do kind of need some hefty damage coming out from your supports.
In classic C9 fashion, all outer towers down, pre-25 minutes. Now they can take the shrines. Perhaps slightly slower on the Death Bolt than other times. They're going to find a pick off bottom. That's a slaughter down with that. They could theoretically threaten high ground. You take out the initiation. At this point, I mean, Secret can still delay the high ground push just using the Invoker. So I imagine Secret could buy time without losing racks unless someone else gets picked off. But it does put you in a somewhat vulnerable position now. And it looks like they are ignoring the shrines. They're vulnerable, but they are...
Oh, no, tier 3, remember? It's
no, you have to... No, you can also do it by killing the tier 2s.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I think it's like an either-or scenario. I'm not 100% sure on that one, though.
I wanted to kind of get into the mind of Ice Frog. Like, what do you think that is? You think it's he didn't like the idea of, like...
You're right.
These teams... Yeah?
Yeah, it says rather than after all tier 2 towers die. Yeah, so you're right. They aren't vulnerable yet until the tier 3 goes down.
So this, I think in some ways the systematic, we take this tier 2, then this tier 2, then this tier. I think it was rather boring to watch, and it became this pattern that the defending team, it was just like they happened, the same thing. It was like 5-ban, okay, 5-ban for the tier 2s. The enemy team would always get tier 2s in response because they would see, okay, they're 5-banning for this, we're just going to 5-ban on the other side, try and pick up whatever we can, essentially, and they'd get a number of objectives. Now with this tier 3 being the way to unlock, it means that you can go for these faster style pushes, be able to try and go high ground, take a quick tier 3 tower, and then from there be able to take down those ever-present shrines, which I think are, in many ways, more important than tier 1 towers.
Yeah, so it forces teams to actually go for a more dangerous, risky high ground push, but rewards them. Whereas in the past, pushing out of towers, pretty low risk, especially with an Aegis. But even with an Aegis, pushing high ground, very, very dangerous. You're fighting into shrines, you're fighting into a high ground advantage, potential ways to pull you into the enemy base. So it does make the game reward kind of aggressive pushing play a lot more.
Yeah, we're going to have less of those, like, oh, we got all your tier 2s and your shrines. We have this big gold advantage, but we're also just going to sit on it because we have shit tons of map control.
We saw games like that. I mean, that was the C9 Alliance series where C9 took all the outer towers and shrines and then just waited second Roche, third Roche, fourth Roche. I mean, part of that was like how hard it was to break the high ground, but it's one of those things where it's like you want to, like, because of that, like, let teams be rewarded for taking high ground and also give the team who's lost their outer towers perhaps access to those shrines still, because you want to make it so there's a way for them to contest those Roches.
The Sunstrike was in the right spot for most Roche contestants, but if it had actually been on Roshan itself, they would have noticed Roshan was lacking a little bit of HP, and maybe they would have gotten that tip to head towards that Roshan pit. Though I'm not sure. Do you think they could contest?
Stop.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so at all. Not into the BKBs. Vision-wise, they're also lacking. They don't have good scouting potential, and I think this slider will melt too fast when he blinks in for a crush. Kezu looking to work in a BKB of his own. It seems like a necessary item for him. Bottom lane not being defended for now, but this two-man rotation, Noi and Rise trying to find a pick-off with the Magnetize, I imagine, and they see MP. There's the Magnetize.
There is going to be a relocate out from Pi. Yeah, he saved them just in time.
That's a cool idea. You show 3 heroes mid, and it's your 3 cores. There's no way MP thinks a gank's coming his way. It's 2 supports, and then a TP onto the shrine from Baby Knight. Really cool gank from C9, but Pi is in the right place to protect his carry, gets MP out of there. That could have been a game-winning pick-off if C9 had gotten the Drow Ranger without a buyback.
That's interesting. Noya has a Hand of Midas queued up. He's prepared for a long game here. If they actually fail to get this Aegis push into the tier 3 tower, and they fail to get a lane of Rax, he's prepared that C9 may have to go another. We've controlled the map and everything, but we can't seem to end the game.
They love their support Midases because they're so good at getting in these positions where they take all the outer towers, but then the game still goes 60 minutes because they don't push high ground. And Midas is, for a support, is the dream item to have in those games because there's not much farm on the map necessarily because your cores are pushing all the lanes out, but it allows you to actually get some of those level 15, level 20, probably more like the level 20 talents you're looking at. Very rarely will you see those Midases get you to level 25, but it does definitely help a little bit.
Rise, he's been hit by the Ghost Walk. He knows Invoker is here, but this is straight into an Eclipse. Ace was right there, managed to almost blow up MP. They need a little bit more, and they will have it too. Oh, the Invis, get out. No, he's not going to be able to make it out. Pylai is going to be able to get the relocate back on the Invoker.
That was a sick last-second tether relocate out. They couldn't find Pi. He juked through the trees really nicely there, and that is important that he survives. That would have been a mid-1 buyback if he had gone down. Problem is, Drow does not have buybacks, so this is still a 5v4 scenario. Ace has a Butterfly and BKB. Holy crap, this guy is some ridiculously farm. I don't know how you defend against this Luna.
It's going to be tough. He has earned charges to put him right back to full HP. The tier 3 is down. Shrine's unlocked, but with Luna, you just want to go straight for that lane of Raxes, and Secret are probably going to have to give it up. Look at poor Puppy, thousands of leagues away and still taking all that bouncing glaive damage. So that will be one. Yeah.
It's like you're in fog. Like, how do those glaives hit you when the enemy team can't even see you? And sure enough, they still follow. So deep in the base, and yeah, now they go for the shrines with the respawn of the Drow Ranger.
Bye-bye shrines. Hello map control for Cloud9. Like, oh, it's just like old times. They took a lane of Rax this time around by 30 minutes, and now they've got all that map control that they wanted. They can chill out if they need to, but they still have that Aegis to work with on Hesta Joe.
Yep. Interesting they put it on the offlane PA, but I guess they're going to play Hesta Joe more like that initiator type role. I mean, Luna's at that point where it's like, is Luna realistically actually going to die in these fights? Can you go on her when she's got a Butterfly? I'd say the answer's, to me, in my mind, pretty definitely no. Whereas PA, you blink in first, yeah, you've got your BKB, but you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position to get bursted down.
All right, Secret, how are you going to do this? Apparently it's a two-man smoke wrap around here. Their 2 initiators are going to try and find an opening. Now, if they can blow up the Luna It's great, but they're going to try and take out the supports first. They managed to get a crush and Ice Shards onto 2, but they've already lost Pylai Die in the back lines. Kezu is going to go down. Cloud9 were able to respond with those 2 supports and stay alive. MP bounces back, but they need to start throwing out those buybacks because this second lane of Rax is in danger. Ace is forced back. Snowball into him, but they really just can't get the damage out onto him. Another snowball hit from Puppey, but the rest of Secret cannot follow up that damage. They're missing 3 heroes without buyback, and honestly, gods, this is looking like the end for Secret in game number 1. Cloud9 are just running over this team.
Yeah, you've taken the 2 lanes. They can go for the megas if they want, but they'd rather go for some of these kills. Luna is just too big to handle at this point, and there may have been some small Luna nerfs to some of the early game with her base damage and the Luna blessing scaling, but Luna, once you've got all your levels and farms, is the exact same potent pushing hero that she always was, and we're seeing it here. Hestajo with A just wants to just go blink diving for a few more kills, but this is the end for Team Secret.
Get him, Hestajo rotten. Not having the luck on the crits, apparently. That'll be it. GG from Secret. So, a 32-minute game. Cloud9 closed it out really nicely. 7.02. Don't think it had that much of an impact in this game. Surprise Broodmother pickup from Cloud9 may have been the most impactful thing, but I think that's more Cloud9 and their style than the new patch.
Yeah, they may have read the new patch and been like, ooh, by the way, we used to play Brood and win lots of games with that. Why did we stop picking this hero? Against Invoker, it was one of their go-tos. So, yeah, the hero is not quite the offlane mess that once was, but nothing's changed from the hero since when the Imperial days when they were running at mid against Invoker. It puts mid 1 on a Quaswex Invoker, which I don't necessarily think was the plan until the Broodmother pick came up. I feel like he may have wanted to go for an Exo Invoker. Like Quaswex with Drow Range Aura is always very good, but with Slaughter, like the Blink Crash, the Sunstrike follow-up is just so nice to have. So that Brood pick really caught Secret by surprise.
All right, guys, we're going to be back with Game 2 of Secret versus Cloud9 in this elimination for the playoffs of the DAC European Qualifier after a short break.
there. Yeah.
I was just kind of thinking they had this maybe in their back pocket against the the right team. If they made it to a certain point, they're like, all right, time to pull out that mid Broodmother again.
I imagine they because you're only playing one best of 3 a day, so you have and you know who you're going to be versing. So you're drafting wise, like you do a lot of like practice drafts, maybe within your own team, and kind of try and anticipate what your opponent's going to pick. And I imagine the discussion within the team was like, hey, we can, if they pick Invoker, let's consider a surprise Broodmother pick, because I think they were like the PA was almost like a red herring, where it's like, oh, they've got this PA, they're going to expect it mid, and then they can last pick this Brood against the Invoker, because I think that's kind of what the mindset was. Like probably last night, like when they were going through what they want to do against Secret, it came up as a potential weakness they could exploit.
And it did work out very well. The Broodmother was able to take that mid tower before 10 minutes. He was able to pressure the Invoker. Mid one still got a decent amount of farm, but he definitely was not free farming. Was not able to I think you weren't able to move around the map as effectively, in part because there's constant pressure mid.
That was the big thing. Like you've got a Quaswex Invoker doesn't want to sit mid and farm. An Exo Invoker, you're kind of okay with that, but the Quaswex Invoker wants to roam. Last time we saw mid one play Quaswex Invoker, he was TPing all over the map, getting tons of kills, being heavily involved. And this game, the one time he rotates, he does a really successful rotation bottom, kills Ace on Luna, punishes some aggression, but as he does that, he loses his mid tower. So it felt like, well, he got kills, but he lost the one thing that Brood wanted to take.
A Beastmaster gods. Bane and Beastmaster, actually. Now that I think about it, they both got significant buffs in their talents. Beastmaster has been one of the offlaners who's been long forgotten. My reasoning has always been that he's initiator, but he's one of the slowest offlaners out there, because you want Necrobook 3, then Blink. The only team who picked it up of notable strength was Team Liquid. They got a Mind Control Beastmaster, but they also created space for him, and he went Necrobook 1 into Blink rather than Necrobook 3 like we used to see.
Yeah, this is an interesting little pickup. Curious to see how Secret ran. I don't think you can do any of that like old school jungle Beastmaster anymore. I think the new jungle changes, the Iron Talon, all that just doesn't quite work as effectively. So more likely we see Secret, pair him up. We'll put him in that offlane. Whether he pairs up with anyone, we'll have to wait and see. But an unexpected pick, that's for sure. Something that suggests a bit more kind of mid focus from Secret. Like last game, I feel like it was a bit more late game oriented, even though they had a Drow Ranger, which is perhaps maybe part of the problem with their draft, is they were playing for a late game Invoker with a Drow Ranger who generally wants to be more mid game focused. So the Beastmaster, I typically look at heroes like Chen to pair up with a Beastmaster. You get the auras, you go for the 5-man push, you get some other cores that can also push and take towers. And those are the kind of heroes I think Cloud9 need to be targeting with their bans.
Do you think if Cloud9 ban away the Chen, do you think Enchantress is a viable pickup? Because I've seen it a little bit in some NA pubs, but that is NA flavor. NA really likes Enchantress for whatever reason, but she did receive some buffs.
Enchantress, or do you see it in the
no,
offlane
it still is a 4 position.
Okay. Potentially, I mean, all of her talents got tweaked and stuff and buffed in small little ways. I mean, and you get both your level 10 talents buffed. You can still only get one of the 2 talents, but I am not a big fan of the Enchantress. Like as far as how it works in competitive play, just unlike the Chen, you don't have that good group up and push. I think the Enchantress is under immense pressure to win the laning stage and snowball. Maybe you as an Enchantress don't have to snowball, but your team has to. So you have to really allow your cores to dominate that early game, and if that doesn't work, I don't feel like there's a good transition out of that for an Enchantress. There's no comeback play for an Enchant.
Yeah, an Enchantress very much has to win the lanes where the Chen can't. When he only has 1 creep, Enchantress can pick up 2, and that is supposed to be one of the big differences between these 2 heroes, is that you can go at by 45 seconds, smoke and go into a lane and just demolish things. But if you don't manage to get that done, the hero starts looking more lackluster as we go into the mid game. Chen was not actually tough though. It's going to be Luna. It is going to be still a pushing hero from Secret.
Yeah, I mean, this can easily build into a Luna 4th pick, the Chen 4th pick if they want to go with the Luna. it becomes very apparent now that Secret do have like a heavy mid-game push in mind. They're going to be doing something similar to what Cloud9 did last game in terms of overall strategy, perhaps less so the specific hero picks, but the Luna the one common theme between the two games. So putting MP on that efficient farming hero and giving good team fight and good push come mid-game time.
Yeah, you know, one of the heroes that would have been always banned is like Team Secret. If it had been last patch, and we hadn't seen this Beastmaster pickup, it would have been Lifestealer, Darkseer as the 1-2 bans. But because the Beastmaster is out, Cloud9 can't run a Lifestealer. Slardar, they're a little bit limited in options, so they're going to move that Slardar into a support role, pick up a different offlaner. The Underlords, as we talked about, did receive quite the nerf in the level 1 category, but apparently Hestejo Rotten still feels comfortable making it work.
Yeah, Bane, Luna. Luna is probably one of the heroes that suffers more against the Underlord aura, like in the mid to late game, because she is so agi stat focused with her build. She doesn't get a lot of like plus damage items, so that's where the Underlord aura is really good against Luna herself. And then you've got the mech, the pipe buyer, if you want to be able to contest the team fight of like the Luna Eclipse. And then fourth pick is going to be the carry that matches up well against the Luna. You make Luna illusions with reflection, you outrange her with the metamorphosis, and you get a lot of benefit from that Slardar corrosive haze to amp up your damage. This Terrorblade pick could work very well. Similarly, though, if the lanes fall apart, you could get run over by the Beastmaster ganks. Beastmaster, one of the better heroes to gank Terrorblade with. Bane also has lots of lockdown. They have lots of control for this Terrorblade.
Yeah, Secret are definitely going for a pretty high octane, like fast pushing, good team fight. In that case, would Tinker, which you said, you know, big counter to the Terrorblade, we saw it ourselves in a series. Do you think that Secret would be willing to fall back on that hero and slow down their push, basically sacrifice some of their synergy in order to counter the Terrorblade, or do you think you just focus on your own draft?
Yeah, I don't think Tinker was what they're looking for, but generally I'd say you want to focus on your own. When you have the ability to completely, utterly destroy a pick like Terrorblade, and if Cloud9's draft is all about the Terrorblade, they'll know what the mid hero is going to be. So if Tinker gets a decent matchup and the mid hero is not like a hero that can kind of fill in Terrorblade's shoes, should Terrorblade get shut down, I think you actually just go Tinker because it just hard counters Terrorblade too much. But Cloud9 have the option to protect it, ban it out, which I think, honestly, again, like anytime you don't ban Tinker when you pick Terrorblade is just a big mistake. You know your opponents need a mid, you've got a Terrorblade, like just ban it out. There's Invoker's actually banned as well, so they've already taken that mid one option out. Ember Spirit could theoretically be the choice for mid one. That's like the more high octane hero, the fast paced pick for him to play. You can fight around like the Beastmaster timings with his Necro Blink. You can just be a nice secondary initiator to follow up a Beastmaster Roar. I like that pick more for Secret's draft, but as far as countering Cloud9 goes, Tinker is just amazing.
Yeah, because the thing is, right, they have this bounty hunter, and right now they don't. I don't feel that Team Secret have a hero that amplifies this bounty hunter like you really need. Like the Luna's this pushing hero, and getting information is always helpful, but it doesn't unlock the pick. Beastmaster is the slower offlaner, isn't going to be, you know, enabling kills as quickly. So again, the bounty hunter isn't really unlocked. The potential of being able to snowball off of these track kills isn't really there. So I would have much preferred the Ember Spirit or some other fast-paced ganking style controlling, like a tempo controller for mid lane for Secret, but they actually banned away the Ember Spirit themselves. There is going to be the Tinker ban from Cloud9, and we will see what mid they choose.
So mid lane's left. Baby Knight has a very weird pool of mids. We see, I mean, you saw the Brood last game, we saw Warlock earlier, and it's going to be a weird hero. That's actually a Terrorblade counter. Not that I think Secret were going to pick it. I don't think they're picking Zeus because it's like, oh, our opponent's going to pick Zeus and counter Terrorblade. Let's make sure we take it first. No, they have some weird idea with Zeus. His changes. What happened to Zeus, Cap? Do you remember? Did he get changed at all?
I don't think so. I mean, if he did, I didn't really care.
His Ags upgrade, I'm reading it now. So Scepter strike interval went from 2.5 to 2.25. The cooldown of Scepter went from 50 to 40. The duration went from 50 to 40. And the level 10 talent gives him an extra 25 health if he wants to choose the health talent. So mostly Scepter changes. The talent is kind of a non-factor.
I do think the Aghanim Scepter is essential for the hero, though. So I think that these are some okay buffs. I would even argue that the Scepter duration so quote unquote nerf is actually a buff because you don't want that thing sticking around for 50 seconds necessarily for the enemy team to kill. So, I guess Zeus a little bit better, but Templar Assassin is going to be picked up by Team Secret, which will do pretty well in the mid lane, should be able to farm out, not a problem there, and does have some kill potential, especially level 6, but maybe with the Bounty Hunter, we'll see.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out, like, why do you think Cloud9 opts for Zeus this game? Like, it's not necessarily an amazing counter to any of these heroes. It just seems like they have this idea about what Zeus can do with their draft. Like, what do you think Zeus is about here?
I mean, I would have thought it would be Sniper, or I don't think it was Band Away, right?
No.
You needed one of those heroes that would be able to sit back and deal out a good amount of damage to be able to defend against this push that's coming in for Team Secret. I think Zeus is probably one of the better heroes, but he's just been completely forgotten. I mean, the burst damage is good versus Luna. They don't have I think a big part of the reason is the fact that they don't have a sustain offlaner. This Beastmaster is going to go, I'm going to presume it's going to be the Necronomicon 1 into Blink to try and give yourself some better form of initiation, in which case you don't have the whole lot of sustain. So there's not going to be a pipe hero or anything like that unless Bounty Hunter gets really far ahead. So Zeus's anti-pushing powers are actually going to be somewhat formidable.
Yeah, until that Blink comes up, there's not much danger to his life. They haven't got good protection for him against the Blink Roar. The Grave is there, but if he gets roared, I feel like he may still go down. It looks like C9 may have an idea of where Puppey is. They were heading towards that top area, although he tucks himself into the trees. Doesn't look like anything too crazy coming out of these lanes. Hetsujo down bottom is going to run into a couple of heroes early on. I think in the past he went Firestorm level 1 anyways, just so like when supports harass him, he just dropped a Firestorm. But now even more so, I think you go Firestorm over the Aura.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. 4% damage reduction doesn't seem like a worthy investment. Noya, they do know that Pilot Die has Brain Sap, so there's nothing to stop this crush and stealing of the bounty rune. So C9 get 3 of them.
Cost him maybe like a Tango or something, but he's okay with that. Puppey unable to pressure the mid lane bounty rune, so that is a good outcome for C9. Often you expect it. Oh, yeah, Noya's gonna have to maybe even go for an early shrine up here if he's not careful. But often you expect that bounty hunter perhaps like harass a Zeus at his rune and try and steal it, but that wasn't possible as Noya will get love tapped and have his clarity broken.
Kizu should be able to do pretty well as the Beastmaster, though. Laning phase-wise, Beastmaster is better than most, and he's only facing up against a dual lane, Terrorblade and Dazzle. And when Terrorblade does pop Metamorphosis, he could just go back and jungle. So
they want that boar. They poison touch
really
it, but Kezu gets the deny. And yeah, Kezu with the stout Ring of Prot is very hard to deal with in this top lane. Ryze double tangos his way through and still taking a lot of hits and not trading efficiently against this Beastmaster.
They are attempting to snipe the courier. Bottle is coming out now, but I think Baby Knight's... Well, I hope Baby Knight's just going to run back for it. Otherwise, Puppey's going to grab that courier, deny that bottle, and that'll be a huge win for the Templar Assassin.
Yeah, you know it's coming. You feel like I've seen this way too many times, and it is going to stay. Even on the high ground, sometimes you see the bounty between the tier 2 and tier 3. He's got a Sentry Ward, so now he knows where the bounty is, so he can bring that courier out. So this harass trade is actually helps Baby Knight because it gives him the info and allows him to get his bottle. Yeah,
not a problem. As long as he's got mana, he can get CS, but if he couldn't get that bottle, he'd be screwed against a Templar Assassin. No way you're last hitting mid-1 with those refraction charges. Shrine up for C9 and their dual lane, Noya and Hetsujo.
He's still an aura
right
level
back
1.
on. And...
Dang.
Oh yeah, he went the Samael, like, you know, harassment. I think in part, I think static field's better against TA, but the 2 levels of Arc Lightning.
The Underlord that went level 1 aura. That's
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh. 4%, baby.
That's one of the more lackluster level 1 spells in the game, but even so, looks like he's at least getting some decent XP now down in this bottom lane. The Slatter's presence should allow him to be able to at least fight Pilot Eye pretty nicely here. So it does look like kind of going to resort to a 2v2 lane. So we'll have to see what Puppey can do to upset things in the other lanes, whether he heads up top. I imagine Kazu's probably thinking he's doing just fine getting solo XP, but if there is kill potential on Ryze's Dazzle, he may make the call to have Puppey come and help him out.
You know, without a courier snipe, I feel like this bounty hunter is looking more and more of a lackluster pick. I don't feel like they're going to ensure that there's going to be a lot of track kills. Like Templar Assassin's pretty decent mid like tempo controller, but it's not that like, you know, really aggressive puck or something like that. He's gonna come up to top lane, try and help Kezu out, maybe go for Ryze, get a couple of shots there, but Ace with the Metamorphosis, there's nobody who wants to fight into this.
Oh no, he's okay. 3 seconds on his invis, he'll get it back up just in time, down to 40 HP. Actually, he was very close to dying in the end. That was a risky play. The low-level bounty hunter doesn't even have his Janata up yet. Probably considering a shrine, but at the same time, do you really want to waste your shrine for a level 1 bounty hunter? I don't think that's necessarily the play to make when the Beastmaster can probably get a lot more value out of that shrine.
Yeah. These are just strong defensive lanes from Cloud9. Zeus sits pretty far back, and he's got a sentry there. The Slardar is helping the Underlord at bottom lane. That's not really a lane you can go into. And then it's a Terrorblade Dazzle at top. That's also not a lane that presents any real weakness. So Bounty Hunter in this laning phase is going to have a hard time getting anything done. Does pick up his level 2 as he tries to grab a shrine. Or, excuse me, a Bounty Rune.
Yeah, I guess that Bounty Rune leeches some XP from the neutrals, so helps him out a little bit. Gets another Bounty Rune as well, so that suddenly goes from being a kind of not too useful level 1 bounty to almost level 3 bounty, and that's where you've got that 1-1-1 build where you have got a lot of damage output if you do gank a lane. But as you said, TA doesn't really necessarily pair up best as far as getting kills. Perhaps with these Psionic Traps you could see aggression on the Baby Knight at mid, but Zeus's positioning, if you stand right back, should be enough to avoid getting gone on.
Mid one is at a very large CS lead. That's not surprising. You always should be as a Templar Assassin against a Zeus, sitting at 32-13 compared to the 19-0 on Baby Knight. Most of the time, you're not picking up the Zeus, though. You get a whole lot of CS. Mid one is going to be caught here in the mid lane. They are going to be able to take off those refraction charges. Nice heal bomb from Ryze as well, but the sleep is going to come in from Pylai Die. Baby Knight, that is in part because he doesn't have that heavy level of Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, nice sleep. If Slider chases and gets another crush off, or even just gives Zeus some vision, that could have potentially led to a kill. Important to keep mid one alive there, and does get him back to safety. Puppey's continuing to be annoying, is now finding some push up towards Hesterjo's jungle, who is fairly low here, so Hesterjo does need to be careful not to get lower than he already is.
Baby Knight's going to join him for this last hitting. Maybe he has to Joe call that he's not feeling comfortable even with that scan of being alone. And that's why the Slardar also comes back. They are going to be able to... Unfortunately, Puppey's not quite level 3. If they had this level 3, this would be an easy kill, but without that extra nuke, they're going to have to try and dive for it. They do manage to get it. Thanks to MP making his way over. Does have the Eclipse as well, but Noya, it's a bit too far out of range for them to feel comfortable. Meanwhile, Kezu at top lane. They do have the ultimate coming out from the Zeus. That'll make it a whole lot easier with the double slows to kill the Beastmaster.
Yep. Good use of the first Zeus ulti. Just doesn't actually get the gold or XP himself, but make sure they get the kill up top. He's just back to farming, so he doesn't really care if his ulti's on cooldown, and he doesn't use up any mana because he was at the fountain anyways. So he's already back up to full, and top lane will see some pressure as a result of this. Kezu going to try aggro with the Wild Axes, but even with the aggro drawn, the TB Metamorphosis will at least chip at this tower, although it doesn't look like it'll do all too much damage.
Puppey spots out Ryze. What was Ryze doing there? Besides grabbing a Bounty Rune, that seems like a pretty dangerous position to be in. He may end up going down here. They're going to throw out the Primal Roar, finish him off with the Shuriken. Bounty Rune not worth it.
I feel they needed a Roar there. Puppey was holding the Shuriken to cancel a TP if needed, but either way, Kezu probably less interested in leaving his lane, given that if he does so, that tower could take some serious damage. Puppey, is he going to find this courier?
Big pickup in position, gets one click, and another attack will finish it off. Nicely played by Puppey. All of a sudden, our Bounty Hunter is rolling. They got a kill on the Underlord, picked up level 4 now, has a kill on the Dazzle, as well as a courier kill. As much as I thought this laning phase was going to be rough for Puppey, he still found a way.
Yeah, this gets a couple bounty runes, and all it takes is that one pickoff, and suddenly you're in business. And he's going to be up to, yeah, Arcane Boots fairly soon, so pretty effective bounty hunter. And I'm going to say the lanes are looking pretty good across the board for Team Secret. They're winning both mid and bottom lane, of course. The offlane Beastmaster, now with that kill, is level 7, and is matching the Terrorblade in terms of experience and not too far away in terms of overall like CS and stuff. So it does feel like Secret are doing very well in this lane stage. Mid one's going to go for the fast Blink Dagger, and he finds a DD room, which is potentially dangerous if he can find a rotation off of this, but he may just look to use it to farm some Ancients.
Underlord's been jungling away, and they put Slardar in a more farming position at bottom lane. Ryze even rotates down to help him against the Bane Luna, because that is a very dangerous nuking combination. Pure damage of Brain Sap combined with the heavy Lucent Beam damage. Do need any kind of support, and Ace doesn't really need a whole lot of help against Kezu. Not yet, anyway.
Unless there's a rotation with a Raw, Ace should be more than okay up here. And the raindrops will at least block that Raw damage to start things off. So that's a good chunk of damage missing should you try and go on Ace here. But he can farm illusions. Like, you send that one illusion out, he takes it down. That's 13 gold, very easily picked up. So I think that's saying a lot of these like illusion carries kind of forget about is that you can't just leave your illusions in lane, otherwise you're giving away free gold.
Yeah, that's a third of a creep. Get enough of those. I wonder if it counts towards the CS. They'll start getting a little bit...
Possibly.
Oh, the nuke, not quite enough. Puppey survives off of 20 HP. Baby Knight just barely misreading that one.
Yep. Noya in behind, but I don't think he's gonna... Yeah, he's not gonna run into Puppey. Perhaps thinking Puppey would head north towards that shrine or the bounty rune, but not the case. Instead, he's going to run into Kezu, which right by an enemy shrine is not a place you want to be. A potential raw TP. Not going to go for it. As perhaps I don't think he was expecting to find the Slardar there.
So C9's lineup, pretty defensive. Not really getting a huge lead in the laning phase. It's Secret who are picking more of that up. When does Cloud9's lineup really come online? Like, when do they actually start doing things?
Blink Slardar, I guess. I don't see any real big scary timings before that. The mech of Underlord is probably the other one, but they're the reactionary team. They're going to be doing what Secret did last game, but I think to an even greater extreme. They have no real playmaking potential. Like, none of their heroes roam. Zeus is like got a lot of burst potential, but he doesn't move around the map very well. It's only the Slardar who does, and we're at that point now where until he gets a blink, Noya isn't going to have much roam potential. Baby Knight bait in the TA at mid, but with the refraction up, I don't think he's actually doing all too okay here.
I was about to say they're baiting a haste rune. Unfortunately, he does play Ring Around the Rosie around the trees and does manage to dodge that second meld strike that could have finished him off.
Another blink in from TA.
Yeah, mid ones just don't stop.
Very aggressive. He just wants his tower. He's got the trap in the tree so we can see potential TPs in. He's going to have another refraction soon, but doesn't look like he wants to get that tower down to deny range just yet. But yeah, I think overall C9 have very little they can do except react to aggression and dives. Like, they need to have TPs for when Secret try and make plays. Secret have a lot of kill opportunities and smoke possibilities with the Raw, with the Eclipse, with a Blink TA. They're going to be the aggressors this game, and C9 can try and respond and like TP in with a Metamorphosis, TP in with the Zeus damage. They're the ones who can look to retaliate.
Offlane tower does go down. Secret eventually chipped that one away. Mid-tier 1 also going to be dropped by mid-1, so they are beginning to get some of that map control that we talked about. Terrorblade is going to have a harder and harder time when it comes to farming. Same goes with Noya. You said his Blink Dagger timing is going to be pretty key. I feel like those are the two heroes that we need to constantly watch. As Ace's farm may allow them to be able to take down some towers. His positioning, maybe he can split push at the right times, and Secret go for some 5-man, but thing is that it's not like Secret need to necessarily 5-man. They've got some pretty good split-pushing heroes, particularly with this offlane Beastmaster, who does have the Necronomicon 1 and NP coming over, so they're going to quickly kill Hesta Joe. No need for an Eclipse either.
I like that move. I was thinking, all right, Luna's coming in, making sure they have like the magic damage to an Eclipse to get the kill, but yeah, with the Necrobook, just a Lucent Beam, and this is one of those rotations where you're almost certainly going to get a tower as well. C9 just not really ready to fight. You've got some of these defending heroes like Zeus, but it doesn't really feel like that's a tower. And they'd rather go for trades elsewhere on the map. Ace just pops a Metamorphosis mid, but even this is going to be a tricky tower to take if Secret want to rotate heroes in, and Pi is in position for a grip.
Oh, he's going to be slowed down. They turn around. Brain Sap managed to hit the stun. Pile die not finished off, though. Ace doesn't want to position himself between those towers at double damage. Or maybe not. I'm not sure what that was. But either way, mid one easily blows up Noya.
It's such a great position for Secret to be in. They've secured the top tier 1 tower, and everyone who's up there with MP can TP back in mid. They can fight and defend mid lane with 4 heroes, knowing that the Luna's kind of in a strategically strong position where she can solo push that tower, has the Eclipse to help protect herself. C9 aren't looking to defend it anyway. TB's committed the Metamorphosis mid. He can't TP out in plain sight, so they secure top tower, they defend their mid tower, and even find a pick off thanks to the blink of TA. Mid one, very close to this Deso timing, and this is where I feel Secret can quickly run away with the game off of this Deso pickup.
They're going to have a lot of space to be able to take Roshan with this Deso. So I don't know how Cloud9 actually deal with this. They just don't have any real good playmakers. They picked up a Zeus mid. Yeah. They picked up an offlane Underlord, so that's going to be another slow hero. Maybe when they have the mech, they can go for a 5-man push, but at this rate, it seems like Secret are just going to be too far ahead for a 5-on-5 clash to be to Cloud9's advantage.
Absolutely. I feel like the start of Blink, their one playmaking opportunity is coming well too far away. They're going to lose Roshan out of towers. Potential push towards their high ground could even come before. The mid one can likely get numerous kills around the map with this Desolator as well. This Blink is not coming at a rate that's going to suffice. And if anything, I mean, Secret may just see this Slider trying to farm his Blink Dagger and send heroes down there to kill him. Right now, Kezu's looking to just be down here for the solo kill possibility.
MP is going to be slowed down, caught by the Pit of Malice. It's not going to hold him for long, though. Pile Die gets hit by the slow from the Terrorblade. They do manage to finish him off. MP's actually kind of turning, hitting some nuke onto Hesta Joe. He knows he's got the Templar Assassin ready to jump in at a moment's notice if Cloud9 overextend themselves. So that kind of push in, they were their 2 heroes again without that kind of playmaking, catching style hero. Kezu, he's going to go for it, but the TP is coming in. He may be able to finish off Noya, but Rise gets there in time.
He was trying to hide in those trees, knowing that there was a lot of space created for him by that aggression up top. Cloud9 do a good job getting the 1 kill up there, but it's still just the support hero, not the ideal outcome for them. But they do manage to stop Kezu from getting any further kills down bottom. He gets damage on this tier 2 tower. This has just been a split push kind of play coming out from him. Noya's going to be there at least to defend it for now, but still some good damage that Secret are going to be able to look to maintain pressure on the C9 side of the map with.
There's an opening for Roshan. They're going to have to deal with Kezu's bottom lane pushes constantly, so somebody's got to be there to protect that tier 2 tower, and they take Roshan so quickly that it doesn't really give any opportunity for C9 to rotate.
Very hard to punish this Beastmaster down here too, because he just leaves that Hawk up around the secret shop. He sees TPs onto the shrine, he sees any rotations coming his way, so he's able to do this in a fairly cautious manner. The one thing that could shut him down is a smoke gain. But even that is not the easiest thing to execute, given the lack of a Blink Dagger on Slaughter still. So Secret with an Aegis, likely see them start now looking to prioritize these outer towers. Strategically, they're in a very strong position right now, and C9 just have to rely on their stalling capabilities. Zeus, Underlord, 2 great high ground defenders, great lane clearers.
Noya hit by another Primal Roar, does have his team coming in. Sprint is also up. There's going to be a Dark Rift onto one of these creeps. Kezu may be caught here, but the creep actually aggroes over to the pets of Kezu. Looks like Ace was going down. Pile die, and mid one managed to combo up, get that kill. Now they're going to be able to get a whole lot more. Baby Knight, he's not making it out alive. Melt Strike onto him. Hesta Joe going to be slowed down as well with the Nightmare. Secret position themselves to blow him up. 3 down, 3 cores dead on the side of Cloud9, and Secret can push in this tier 2.
It's one of those games where like it's hard to like a bright future for Cloud9 with this game. Like as a commentator, no, it's like you don't want to say this game's over. It really doesn't feel like they have opportunities to turn this game around. They can stall it out, they can defend high ground, and that really is their play right here. I think other than defending their high ground and just stalling this game out and hoping that they can put together some good fights around like a farm Terrorblade Zeus, this Zeus pick has not panned out well for them. TA has crushed the lane, is snowballed out of control. Luna has free farmed as well, and through Towers and Roshan, Secret are going to have full map control, and it feels like just a matter of time before Secret eye off that high ground and will test that C9 high ground defense.
It does kind of seem like Cloud9, they needed an Ember Spirit, right? They needed some sort of playmaker that would be able to get pickoffs, set up kills, all that sort of thing, and that was the ban from Secret. Cloud9 with this Zeus has looked particularly ineffective.
Sometimes you have these different picks, and sometimes they work, like the Broodmother last game, and sometimes they just fall very flat, because this Zeus pick has definitely been the latter case. And I think with C9, they've always been...
Oh, what a sick play. Did you see that?
Puppy. Yeah.
Puppy dropped the counter ward for the vision. Oh, that's dope. There's no way he wraps around that tree and gets the shuriken out in time. So dropping the sentry for the bit of vision just to be able to get that shuriken out, stopping the TP. Well done.
Just further advancing Secret's lead. More track money. Puppy going to go for the pipe, so he's got the answer for the Zeus Underlord spam when they go for that high ground push, and it's another raw Kezu. This time with an Necro 3. The mech TP out looks like, yeah, Hestia will be more than okay thanks to the aura. But Kezu now with the Necrobook up is probably telling his team, like, Necrobook's up, let's get this bottom lane. And Noya was so close to blink.
And Baby Knight's not even going to make it out.
Escape. Yeah, no Force Staff, no Yules. I mean, he's just not farmed. Like, at this point, the 8th lens first is, like, nothing wrong with this item build, but it's the fact that he doesn't have another item, like a Force Staff on top of this, or a Yule Scepter to help him out. And, yeah, high ground is coming soon from Secret.
Mid one playing fearlessly. Dive it in on Hesta Joe. They are having a bit of high ground defense, especially with the Zeus buyback now, and the Underlord, thinking Secret are going to be forced back. That is the one thing going for Cloud9. They do have lots of high ground defense between Underlord and Zeus.
Yeah. So until this... Oh, they go Glimmer Cape instead on Puppy. So he had the pipe queued up, but bought the Glimmer Cape first. So be able to put this on the TA or Luna, who's like the single high ground sieger with some magic resistance. And I think more than anything, their approach to strategic high ground is just going to be mid one, blink in and kill someone. And with 5.2k gold, he can pick up a Daedalus or something scary to just burst down a single hero. He queues up a Eagle Song. Let's see what's going to come from that. Or not sure. Not really a butterfly game. Not sure about the butterfly pickup, but either way, he just needs to be able to burst down that one hero in the front, nice and fast.
That's weird. I wonder if he's thinking it's because of sieging high ground. If he has butterfly, he can be the one hitting that tower. Doesn't have to fear as much from Terrorblade or the tower shots. But you're right, it is going to be taken out pretty quickly, especially with all this magic damage from Zeus and Underlord.
Yeah, the evasion is also good against the reflection, against his own illusions theoretically. So
that's true.
It's not a it's probably like the one source of damage his team can't easily deal with. Like Ace is not a good target for TA to go on. TA wants to go on the Zeus. So Zeus's magic damage is likely going to be taken out of the picture pretty quickly. It's also negated by the Glimmer Cape. They probably feel like they can deal with the magic damage, but the farmed up Terrorblade with reflection could really kite around the TA, who doesn't have the range to deal with the Terrorblade. But either way, I think we'll see this high ground attempt succeed fairly soon from Team Secret.
Secret doing a great job buying space for Pi. Pi's been just kind of chilling out here in this top lane, farming away, right-clicking creeps. Rest of his team's like all up in the face of C9. Pili Dies like, I'm taking a well-deserved break, guys. I'm getting some gold.
Yeah, he's going to be the pipe buyer, it looks like. So he should have a pipe by the time next Aegis is acquired for Secret, if they want to wait for that Aegis. Luna's going to have a BKB. So like level 3 Eclipse with BKB on Luna, chuck an Aegis onto your TA, so TA can just blink past the tower and kill heroes. At that point, like I feel like there's nothing C9 can do. So they need to make sure it doesn't get to that point, and that's smoke up with Noya's newly acquired Blink Dagger. This is one of those smokes where I feel like they have to get a big kill and probably multiple kills at that.
They may not find anybody. See mid one, mid lane against. They're gonna wrap back around him, see if they can catch, but Secret are playing the right side now. They're gonna go high ground, noticing that no one's inside the base, so they just quickly take out that tier 3 tower. Now start getting that glaive damage onto the Raxes. Hesta Joe now sits in front with the spam, but having a hard time with the pipe now, being able to clear through these both the illusions as well as the creeps.
They've got track vision on Neuer, so they now know where the initiation from C9 is. That makes his push a bit to approach as well. Seems Secret happy to maybe back off now they've forced those rotations back. It's, like you say, they just noticed no one's defending high ground. Wait a second, guys. This is a free tier 3 tower. We don't need Aegis. We don't need this next level of items. If they're not going to be here, we take the tier 3. They almost took the melee racks. Now they can back off and wait for that Roche respawn if they want. If C9 just camp their high ground defending, you wait for Roche. And if C9 make moves out of the base, you either threaten to split push like we just saw, or you fight them head on because Secret are well and truly miles ahead. It is 26 when it's like 1,000 net worth per minute or higher. That's like the biggest stomps you'll see. Very rarely, like that's like a 1 in 100 type one-sided game that you see where it's 1,000 net worth a minute advantage.
Kezu gets his Blink Dagger off the shrines going down, so as you're talking about, if Cloud9 push out, if there's opportunities for picks, Secret will have quite the big increase in power, being able to catch Cloud9 with this initiation. Looks like he's also queued up a gem just to make sure they have total control. He's got the Necrobook, sure, but just to make sure they have total control of the map, and C9 do not have any vision down. 4-man smoked up, Hesta Joe farming the jungle. They are trying to push out with an illusion, waiting for somebody to come in, maybe because, you know, they've seen Cloud9, Hesta Joe here farming the neutrals, and they want to try and gank him, or maybe stop this illusion push that's coming in some way. Somehow, Cloud9 are hoping that Secret will fall into this trap, but
yeah, it's not looking too bright for them. I mean, if they kill even if Kezu gets overly aggressive, they kill Kezu. It doesn't really change the state of the game very much. Either way, it just leads to Secret. It delays the game out a bit. Wait for me, Secret. Then going to go for that Aegis probably. But as it stands, Secret say, "Oh, they're pushing bottom. Let's go fight them." There's a Terrorblade there, which means there's teammates behind him. They are ready to go at Team Cloud9 with their BKBs. Both TA and Luna now have a BKB.
Yeah, mid one told his team to hold up for a second, ran back, picked up that BKB, is ready to fight, ready to blink in. They do have the initiation. Kezu actually gets stunned up before he can get off the roar. Now Pylai dies in some serious trouble. Ace almost finishes him off. They do manage to get Kezu down, but they've already lost their initiator, and they managed to get the Fiend's Grip onto Ace with the Eclipse cleaning up hero after hero. That is going to be 4 down from Cloud9. Baby Knight, the only one to escape off of a TP.
I was wondering if Underlord was just going to instantly try and Dark Rift out there. The second Secret came in, but he got instantly Nightmare, so he could not use a spell, couldn't use his mech to help out his team until like 5 seconds into the fight. And with all those heroes dead, buybacks will be forced. Mid one had a double damage. He'll quickly use that double damage to take the bottom lane of Rax, and Secret, Puppy's just diving forward, tracking heroes. He knows there is very little Cloud9 can do at this point. Baby Knight free-shotted. Godlike, mid one.
Blink up in 4. Nah, he's not going to pursue.
I mean, individually, I don't really feel like Cloud9 did anything wrong this game. I just think draft-wise, they had no chance. Their lanes, they lost all 3 lanes effectively. Like the top lane, Beastmaster got so much out of that lane. I would consider that a loss as well for Cloud9. And
double stun from Noya.
No
on top of the Pit of Malice, they can't even get a single kill. That kind of somewhat decent initiation doesn't result in anybody dying except for Cloud9 members. Shallow Grave on Hesta Joe will save him, but it looks like Cloud9 may just have to call the GG or suffer watching Megas being taken by Secret.
Yep. And Secret looks like they're even saying, let's go Roche potentially. It is up. After all, TA is in the neighborhood. If they want to get Roche, they definitely can. Cap this game's, I feel like it's not like a matter of like what do they need to win this game. I feel like this game's been over for like a good 10 minutes right now, so
yeah, it really is.
I don't have too much else to say personally, but I mean, game 3 it feels like the team game 1 wasn't so much of a stomp. I feel like we have seen two draft wins in a row. Like I don't feel like either team in terms of overall gameplay, like be it an individual player outplaying someone or like just out executing in team fight, I don't feel like either team has proven to be the better team yet. But draft wise, we've seen 2 really well executed drafts. Game 1 by Cloud9, game 2 by Secret.
Well, in my experience, gods, it's been the 2 draft wins, and then the 3rd game will be very even and very well matched, and we'll truly get to see a test. Finally, they get a kill. They got Kezu. Down for
His
only
respawn,
16
15
seconds. Good lord. All right, Fiend's Grip on has Joe, preventing that Dark Rift out once again. MP with the Eclipse out is dealing a lot of damage. Noy is trying to threaten him down with a Corrosive Haze, but can't do it. Mid one cleans up the damage dealers, gets the back line towards the end, and now Cloud9 will GG out. Baby Knight killing his items. Fantastic display of net worth loss.
That's actually an insane level 15 talent for Beastmaster. Like, now that I see that, I'm like, wait a second. That's one of those scenarios like Lone Druid. You hit level 20, it's like, you don't really want to level up past that. You want to actually 5-man around this level 15 Beastmaster and keep him around that level for a while so you can abuse that really short respawn time. Maybe Raw's on cooldown, but you still have a lot of pushing power through the Aura, the Necrobook, so, I mean, Secret, that was a pretty big stomp.
Yes, it was. And that evens up our series 1-1. Game 3. Who's going to make it? Who's going to be knocked out of DAC? We'll find out after a short break. what Gods and I will agree on is a draft win on both sides. Game 1 for Cloud9, Game 2 for Team Secret, and at least in my experience anyway, it means we're gonna have a really awesome Game 3 where the draft is gonna be even, or we're gonna have these two teams really test their mettle against each other, or at least that's what I hope anyway. Gods.
Yeah, I mean, we can hope for that crazy epic Game 3. Never really know. It's kind of hard to say how these teams will match up, given the way that the draft was so prevalent in those first 2 games. But I imagine both teams have now had time to adjust, and given the nature of Games 3, typically you'll see teams tense up a bit, play more conservative, and also go more conservative with their draft. So that the whole chance of like a heavy out draft or like a surprise Zeus pick is kind of more likely taken away. At least a team like Cloud9, I don't expect them to do something quite as crazy in a Game 3 draft.
You know, in our lobby, Cloud9 chose Radiant. Team Secret chose second pick. I feel like Puppy has something tricky up his sleeves here, as the certain heroes like maybe the Lycan are still in the pool, which we did see banned away initially.
Wonder if he like wants them to first pick stuff like the Slaughter. Maybe he just thinks like Slaughter is just like takes too long to come online as that support. We saw Puppy struggle with the Slaughter support. Sorry, Slaughter not Lycan. Slaughter support in the yesterday against Liquid because of the slow pace of the hero past the lane stage, and similarly last game that was a big problem for Cloud9 with the Slaughter. It just took forever to get the what Lich. Okay, I'm just gonna stop that train of thought. I'm like, I just suddenly look up and there's a Lich. I was like, okay, what was they saying? Okay, something different from Secret at least.
That's not.
I do not remember his changes.
Lich got more of a buff with his like level 25 talent. I remember that much, and I was like, okay, who cares? Okay. Yeah. Level 15 talent again. Like if you're talking about talents and you're talking about anything past level 10, I think for supports it is a little bit inconsequential, right? It's not the reason you're picking the hero. You're not picking the hero for 35 minutes in when the hero finally reaches level 15. You could talk about this change. So apparently they just like this armor. Maybe
they know that there's going to be some kind of physical damage partnered with the Ogre, I guess, which is where they're like, well, may as well secure ourselves a Lich, but there is almost no chance C9 would have banned Lich. So
yeah,
picking support's generally what you want to do in the first stage of the draft anyway. So I think they're just happy to throw it out there and perhaps put Cloud9 up, because now Cloud9's probably thinking, oh, do we still want to go all in on physical damage? The sniper gets taken away. He's kind of that hybrid where he's got a bit of magic from the shrapnel and assassinate, but also offers some physical to go with the Ogre. So bit of a funky opening from Secret.
Team Secret, despite the Lich pickup, are still going to ban away some of the combo heroes with Ogre. Might as well, right? So Sniper is going to be banned away. I thought that would have been the second pick for Cloud9, but they choose to keep a very open 1-2 pick in both their supports, Ogre and Rubik. What other heroes would you like to see banned with that Ogre Magi?
The Shadow Fiend, perhaps. I think he's that other kind of hybrid where he's like physical damage and also has a decent amount of nuke damage. And he's typically been the preferred option for Baby Knight. They've been doing They had Ogre SF as their first 2 pick in a couple of their games. So more so than playing Sniper, they are playing the SF. So if you're not banning it, I think you've got to be expecting that hero to get picked up if you're Secret. Perhaps they think they can deal with it better than the Sniper, which would be an obvious reason to leave it in the pool. But that's kind of what I think and imagine Cloud9 go to, even more so because it's a Game 3 decider now. They're going to just draft to their comfort zone.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking the SF as well, in which case, who knows, maybe Cloud9 won't focus on the Bloodlust at all, and they'll just focus on the fact that they've got a nice tanky support and do something very different with their draft. Another hero that was kind of missing for me in the last 2 picks, I think, as well as bans, the Vengeful Spirit. Vengeful Spirit was one of those heroes like Weaver, who is also missing from the current pool, as well as Slardar. Those 3 have very striking similarity when it comes to drafting, which is teams have preferred to grab those heroes early on because they're physical damage and minus armor, and they're also versatile picks in that they can run both support as well as core, or in Weaver's case, safe lane or support or off lane.
Ooh. So Secret go back for the Luna. This has been the probably most game, well, has won both the games so far and been one of the most influential picks of the drafts we've seen as far as just giving you that strong laning hero, good mid-game pushing hero, and good late-game carry. If it gets to late game, I don't feel like the late-game potential of Luna was needed in that game too, but game one, we definitely saw that from Cloud9. So I think the big weakness right now in Secret's draft for me is that Lich support. Not that this is a bad pick, but more it's something you can try and take advantage of. Lich is typically not a good safe lane support. You don't have any good stuns. You're not very tanky. If you have a lineup that can dive towers or really put pressure on that off lane for Cloud9, I think that's something you can take advantage of. Like a Lich Luna lane is not particularly strong. Typically, teams are running Lich as a dual lane support in the off lane or even around the mid lane just for some extra denies. So that off lane for Cloud9 is where I would look for them to try and really apply pressure and put Secret off guard.
Do you think that part of the problem I see with that is that they have Ogre Rubik? Neither one is a particularly strong dual aggro. So do you think it's possible they can run an aggro tri-lane here into the Luna?
It's possible. Like, I'm trying to think, what would the right core would that be? Like a Rubik Ogre. I mean, Luna would be the dream one. Otherwise,
There's some other heroes: Draw Ranger, Ursa.
Yes.
What else is out there? I mean, there's even certain offlaners. Yeah,
Mirana, but that seems a bit weird. Tri-lane carry Mirana, but the puck makes me think the Drow idea that you mentioned could be more likely. I like this pick from Secret. Your lanes are a bit weak, and that top lane could be contested. They get a full position that could theoretically just secure the safe lane if they need it to. So you can just send Undying up there to spam decay against either an aggressive dual lane or an aggressive tri-lane. This gives them much stronger lanes.
Undying, much like Lich, did get some later game buffs with the talent changes. 15, 20, and 25 talents all got some buffs, but again, not something that really want to focus on. Cloud9, they have this nice aggressive puck, could still be an offlaner, but more likely they're mid. They are going to go with the Draw Ranger, which does still keep open that offlane puck. It does also make an aggro tri-lane possible. If they still want to go into Luna Undying, it seems a little bit unadvisable, but maybe they can make it work. And they could give Puck, as a result, a 1v1 safe lane with a Draw Ranger aura. That could be decent, but it's also versus a Centaur.
Yeah. I think it works if they're full on tri-lane up there because you can position the Rubik and Drow such that ideally Undying is not getting 2-3 man decays off, and you can kite him around. If Undying ever oversteps, you lift him up, you pull him in, Ogre's there to fire blast, and you've got yourself a kill. So I think the tri-lane works against Undying Luna, and even if it's Undying Luna Lich altogether, I think it can still work. But you want to find favorable matchups elsewhere. The Puck Center you mentioned isn't necessarily that Puck favored. Both heroes should farm, should get their fast level 6, and then we see what happens when they rotate to the tri-lane. And then we don't quite know just yet what that mid lane matchup's going to be. But Secret, by choosing second pick, they get to react. They get to put mid one in a position where he can counterpick. Once again, that was the big thing last game. He sees the Zeus, he plays TA, that wins Secret the game on draft, and he can counterpick Cloud9 once again. So if you're Cloud9, you've got to be thinking, let's just pick a stable, consistent mid laner that doesn't get countered badly, whether that's like an OD type hero, the Baby Knight Viper is even being picked up here and there. Get some Drow partner that doesn't lose its lane.
You know what's kind of lacking for Cloud9 as well is a pipe hero. There's a lot of magic damage on Team Secret. You know, the physical damage doesn't come in much later with the Luna, so it is a bit unfortunate. It's the only reason that I'm thinking about the Puck mid and getting a different offlaner. Is solely because of the fact that I want to be able to see a pipe, though a different mid laner could also give them a better, like more mid to late game oriented strategy. Right now, they're very heavily in all-in aggression, 5-manning, early game, like end this game by 30 minutes sort of style.
Yeah, they could easily consider Puck mid and putting some safe lane hero that matches up well against the Centaur in a 1v1 type matchup. Darkseer perhaps comes to mind if you want like a mech and pipe hero. Has received some nerfs, and I think that nerf will actually hurt him more in a 1v1 than it does in like the 1v2, 1v3s in the offlane, since you'll run out of mana in a lane you're looking to actually contest and play in. So perhaps Darkseer becomes less appealing because of that, but OD banned out, so Secret seem to think it's going to be like a Hestejo Puck.